They spent more money than any other team in free agency, and it worked. I'm not saying the Titans are going to go to the Super Bowl and play at SoFi in 11 months, but that's what the Titans are doing today because they're signing any and everything that wasn't nailed down in New York or elsewhere. Whether you played for Robert Saleh or you played for Brian Daboll, the Titans are taking the Patriots' plan because they know in a year they're also going to have to pay their quarterback. Now, you don't have to immediately, or 2 years from now. You don't have to immediately, but that's what Drake May and the Patriots are looking at. Let's look at the Mike Evans thing as well. I still don't believe it. I mean, it makes sense. Eventually, not everyone finishes their career with the team that drafted him, C-Rob. But the idea that Mike Evans truly did walk away when the money just got too good to go to San Francisco. And the Buccaneers have needs. They had to make some signings defensively. They got Kenneth Gainwell from the Steelers. That's a nice little piece there as well. And Mike Evans is going with Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, and look, he's getting paid. There's no doubt about that. And I think that certainly plays into it. But he's also walking into a situation with the 49ers where he's not going to be relegated to anything but being a high-volume number one receiver. They need him badly. And I'm telling you, it's not like he's really talked about it, but I think Kyle Shanahan, since he left the Atlanta Falcons, has been dreaming about getting another big, confident, volume-heavy wide receiver like a Julio Jones. Now, obviously, Mike Evans is far older. I get it. I'm not making that comp, obviously, because we're talking about completely different ages at this point. But I think Mike Evans still feels like, hey, I can be a 150 target guy in an offense. And now he's going into a place with the San Francisco 49ers where you look around at the pass catching options, and obviously there's questions. Ricky Pearsall's still got to continue to grow into a role as not only an every down wide receiver, but an every game wide receiver. He has to be healthy. You look at Christian McCaffrey, there's starting to be wear and tear on that. I think you want to take some of the touches he gets off the table, particularly from a pass catching standpoint. And then, you look at George Kittle. We're nearing the end of the George Kittle window. So you're playing into the end of Mike Evans' window. You're playing into the end of George Kittle's window. I think you're trying to maximize what you get out of these guys right now. I think it's very good for Brock Purdy. I'm very curious to see what happens with Trent Williams, because that is a player that I think you have to have, locked in to that offensive line. But I think Kyle Shanahan has wanted a big, very culture, practice hard, great in the locker room player, dependable from the standpoint of when he's on the field. He's going to be coming down with a lot of 50-50 balls. I like it from the standpoint of trying to maximize what you're getting out of this window now with a couple of aging players on, well, more than a couple, but a few aging players on the San Francisco roster, and finally giving Purdy the number one, the staple number one receiver that they keep reaching for and missing out on. They thought they had in Brandon Ayuk and didn't.
Yeah, and if you are the San Francisco 49ers, lots of words today.
Which they are.
And you are competing in the NFC. Yeah, they are. Let me tell you that. And they are competing in the NFC West. You've got Puka Nacua, you've got Jackson Smith-Njigba, but you are trying to keep up in a division that does have these high-profile star receivers who can be that big volume guy. And even though Kyle has always done it a little bit differently, where his system doesn't really seem to depend on one person, particularly in the pass-catching game, and of course, they have Christian McCaffrey, which no one else in the division quite has. I do think to get over the hump on that offensive side, you need someone, and they don't have Deebo Samuel anymore. They sent him to Washington. Brandon Ayuk never reported last year, and they've made clear that that's not going to be a relationship that is restarted, and so it was time to fill that gap, and like you said, to have someone who can do it with the culture standpoint too. I think they're going to be excited. You do got to make sure he stays healthy, though. Right. Not because of the substation, but just because of the way that they practice in San Francisco. There is a lot of stress that goes onto their body. So that would be my only question with someone coming in, given Mike's age. But I hope it works, because I think it'd be fun to see.
Hamstrings.
I forgot about the
substations. Bad mix.
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, what are we doing here?
We talk about it like every 2 days.